Well, you are offended by the word hello. I am offended by the fact that you just treated somebody like shit and berated them for 5 minutes because they said hello to you, because you're sexist. I am offended by the fact that if a good-looking man says hello to you, you don't get like that, do you? Unless you're a lesbian who hates all men. In which case, do you get offended when a woman says hello to you? Does that mean that she wants to have sex with you? That that's all that she wants? Men are all the same. They all want the same thing. And I see these posts on your Facebooks about how you, complaining about how misogynistic men are and how all they want is sex. How you, as a woman, want sex. But this video isn't about that. This video is about Shannon Alvarado, the alcoholic. She means well, but penis is pretty important to her. Or rather, the companionship that comes along with it. She is a very insecure individual. Very insecure. Now, she started defending me on Facebook, and that's fine. But she also meddled and didn't follow through. See, when she let me know what Kara Johnson Miles was up to, she needed to tell the police that. They're not going to listen to me unless someone goes in with me. You have to make that report, Shannon. But you didn't. And because of that, that woman got to slander me in court without even being there. Shannon. So, Shannon said that if I was there, that she would help me. If I was there, I could use her mailbox. And I went there. And within just a couple of days of being there, I realized why it is that she only can handle 2 or 3 sentences without interrupting. It's because she's an alcoholic. She doesn't even hear what the fuck I'm saying. She catches 1 or 2 words and she might spit 1 or 2 words back at me and then goes right back to whatever the fuck she was saying. Instead of telling me your opinion of a situation you weren't there for, maybe you should listen to me who was there for it. Now, Shannon kept on saying that she was gonna. And I'm going to tell you about all of the issues that I have with Shannon Alvarado. Well, maybe not all of them. When she could have made a difference, she didn't. Was that by choice? Well, yeah. She chose to get drunk instead of keeping her word. When she's drunk, she treats people like shit. She's a very selfish person when she's drunk. When she's sober, she is not. So you have until 6:30 p.m. to try to get something useful out of her. If she's going to help you, you have until 6:30 p.m. That's it. Because at 6:30 p.m. she's drunk as a fucking skunk. Now, she kept on telling me that I could send the evidence to her. Send it to her email address and she'll look through it. And you know what? She never looked through it. I sent it to her email address. Same thing with Mandy Hughes. So Shannon, she can't write a report. It just takes her too damn long. I had the same issue with a lot of people who promised they would and just never got around to it. When you care about somebody, you make the time. So don't tell me that you care if you can't make the time to do something simple like write a fucking report. So Shannon tells me she wants to meet me and, if I was in California and so on and so forth, and I haven't met her at this point. She's just another internet wingnut so far as I know. But she is the only internet wingnut who is answering her phone and actually conversing with me. Dan Fabric can't. He can't find the time. Layla Johnson is busy pretending like she can't talk for whatever reason. It's complete bullshit. Now, when it comes to all the bullshit that I had to deal with Shannon Alvarado, that's not even the tip of the iceberg. When I got to Shannon Alvarado's and realized that she was such a terrible alcoholic, she was busy treating people like shit. She was busy treating Rick like shit. She had a guy who was coming over and working on her house named Chris, and she was treating him like shit. Because she was drunk. Not because they did anything wrong, but simply because she was drunk. And that explains a lot. Because alcoholics and meth heads have that same thing going on. Where they have no attention span, none whatsoever. All they have is their own internal monologue, and nothing else in the world matters. Nothing else in the world exists. Shannon Alvarado is the one who let me know what Kara Johnson Miles was up to. This woman who slandered me in court and was able to do so because Shannon Alvarado didn't come forward. Well, Shannon Alvarado is the one who exposed her. But she never wrote a police report about it. When I was in Longmont Hospital, and I called Shannon after I got out, and I was still fucked up off of the drugs that they injected me with. Shannon Alvarado could have made a report about that. Said that she would, but just never did. Just continued to make excuses, just like many other people did, including Miss Peaches, a.k.a. Kayla Trujillo. Now, when I was in Wyoming, I was in contact with Shannon, and everything was fine and dandy. I had to make a decision, and I had only a few minutes to do it, and I made a decision to go to California. Why did I make that decision? Because Shannon Alvarado said so. Did she say so that day? No, she didn't. But she let me know on more than one occasion that things are different there. Her and Rick don't argue every night anymore. So if I go there, things will be different. And I made a video after she said that on one occasion, a video about how I have to worry about Rick being a fucking dick who's holding a fucking grudge. And sure enough, I was right. When they let me out of the hospital and I got on that bus to go to California and I let Miss Shannon know what was going on, that very morning me and Shannon were in contact with each other and everything was great. Everything was fine and dandy. But when I let her know I was on the bus there, instead of talking to me like a human being, she started texting meanness. So, when I finally got there, I was stuck at a fucked up downtown station with no way to get anywhere. I'm not supposed to lift anything above 10 pounds, and I'm carrying around my box full of evidence so that it doesn't get stolen in downtown LA. The place is surrounded by junkies. Some of them have sores on their arm that take up their entire arm because they're using the same drugs that Natalie did. They're injecting heroin or meth. So, I'm at this bus station and I'm in a lot of pain and I keep getting threatened with getting kicked out because they want to treat me like a homeless person, like I'm one of those fucking junkies, and I'm not. But Shannon, she treated me like shit on the bus ride there, And then when I got there, she just couldn't make time and couldn't make time and couldn't make time. Finally, Brandon Ratner bought me a bus ticket out of there. And that's when Shannon Alvarado started to give a shit. Oh, Sean, I wanted to see you before you left. Shannon, you didn't give a fuck on my ride there. You didn't give a fuck when I was stranded at the fucking station with nowhere to go, in severe pain, having to walk around with this fucking box everywhere. You did not give a fuck. But then when I'm leaving, you magically want to see me. All right. So I went with you, didn't I, Shannon? Of course I did. And things were kind of okay there. And even though you were drinking and you were talking nonstop, you kept on telling me things that you should have been writing down. But did you write those things down? No, 90% of that you didn't write down. You just kept on talking and talking and talking and talking. Write it the fuck down, Shannon. Just write it the fuck down. So she finally got it written down. She was like, oh, I want to make sure it's perfect. I don't need it to be perfect. I just need it written. If it takes you 20 years to fucking write something, it does me no goddamn good, because I need it now. I needed it 6 fucking months ago. So she finally got it finished, and it's time for me to go, and I leave. And I gotta tell you something. Shannon does not take criticism. You cannot tell Shannon she did something wrong. You just can't. She gets very selfish and very mean. Now, I let her know how it made me feel when I was on the bus and she was treating me like that. And when I was at the bus station and she was treating me like that. After being buddy-buddy with me while I was in Wyoming, while I was in the hospital there. And I literally went from the hospital to my vehicle to the bus station. My vehicle was in a tow lot. And I went there and I was able to get some stuff out of it, thank goodness. Because there was evidence in there that was important. Like evidence of Andrew Witcher abusing his wife's daughter. And Amy Witcher getting addicted to cocaine. And Andrew's drug use. Long-term drug use. She wants to repair a relationship with someone who only cares about himself. She asked for my help because this man only cared about himself and his drugs. So I tried letting Shannon know how it was that made me feel, and it's not her fault. Oh, Rick made me type that. No, Rick did not make you anything, Shannon. You typed that mean shit yourself. You pressed that record button and recorded that mean shit yourself. I had done nothing wrong to you. And you treated me completely like shit. You wronged me a lot, Shannon. All I ever did was tell the truth about the situation. But you don't like that. You don't like that. You should have kept your word. So then, when I'm up at Jamie's, after this whole fiasco of, oh, Sean, you could come here. Things are different now. Well, when I'm on my way, obviously they weren't different. You treated me completely like shit. I can't go there. I have to stay at the fucking bus station. And then when I have a ride out of there, then you want to come see me. Then you're willing to do something, right? So then when I get up to South Dakota, this is the 3rd time that you invite me. Sean, you know, I could have you come down here for a week. Shannon, we tried that already. The first time you said that, I showed up, you stayed drunk the whole time. The second time I showed up, you treated me like shit. And then you say, well, I treated you good when you were at my house. Fuck what happened at your house. The way that you treated me when I went there was fucked up. The first time and the second time. The second time, I didn't even make it there. You treated me like shit until you knew that I was leaving, and then you cared. So when I'm in South Dakota and you're saying, oh, well, I'll pay for you to come down here for a week. Why the fuck would I do that, Shannon? After the last 2 times, when you couldn't keep your word, when you treated me like shit and the other people in that household like shit. Fuck no, Shannon. Fuck no. You come forward with the goddamn truth. You tell the fucking truth. You don't want to tell the truth about your alcoholism? That's fine. You tell the truth about Carl Johnson Miles. You write that shit the fuck down. And Rick McCormick can kiss my ass. I didn't deserve for him to take all that out on me. I showed the situation that I was in, where you guys argued all the time. Where you were constantly, because you have zero fucking self-esteem when you're drunk. You're constantly accusing him of doing shit. Everybody's out to get you when you're drunk. Maybe you should stop fucking drinking, Shannon. Maybe you should think about your children and how that affects them. Maybe Brett Roloff and his girlfriend should think about how their meth use and smoking that shit in that fucking house and selling that shit affects their children and their children's futures. Maybe Rihanna should think about how her alcoholism affects her children and Miss Kingery's children. Maybe Amy Kingery should think about how her meth use affects her children. Maybe my dad and my mom should think about how their drug use, their cocaine use affected their children. Shannon Alvarado, you couldn't help me because you're an alcoholic. You couldn't find the time, the entire time that I was there, you couldn't find the time because you're an alcoholic. Yes, you may care, but you care more about your alcohol. Just like my parents cared more about their cocaine. Just like Natalie's mom cared more about her alcohol. Just like Natalie's dad cared more about drugs and using her as a sexual object. But then again, Shannon lives in a rich neighborhood of Sherman Oaks. Her housing is pretty well secured. She literally does not have to do anything. She could sit there all day long and just collect a check because her dad's disabled and because her daughter is disabled. Shannon doesn't even know how to change the tire on her fucking car. That's fucking pampered.